This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tonight. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me, I got James Del Campo. What's going on, James?
All good. Lots to talk about this weekend.
Sure is. We're going to have some other people join in probably here in a little bit, but let's kick things off. Jamie Munguia, he's test positive on his B sample again. Does this matter more now that the B sample tested positive? And then we're going to talk a little bit about the suspension and what that matters. So to you, does it matter more now that the B sample came back? Is that more confirmed that maybe he's up to something a little bit more suspicious?
Well, it's a confirmation. And I will stretch a little bit and go. There is one very highly respected boxing pundit on the Hispanic channels or the Spanish channels. And the guy that I really, really respect. And he said that his sources are saying that this could only be injected. It's a pretty serious allegation there, but that's exactly what I heard. And this is someone that I really respect. And he's very well known. And I won't mention any names here, but because I don't have his permission, simply, for all our viewers. But it just casts a really, really bad light on Jaime Munguia and his career. And then, you have the conversation about, the gym with the particular trainer in common with all the other fighters who have tested positive. And it's kind of a who's who. And it just doesn't look good. This does not look good for the trainer, not look good for the fighter. And, we talk about this a lot. We always touch on the subject. Almost every show. It's almost every show that someone comes up. There's another one this week that came up positive for marching powder, a.k.a. cocaine. I'm sure you know who that is. Maybe no surprise, but my God, I mean, this is a sport. It's not a science project.
The marching powder, though, I mean, we know that's recreational, but I'm talking more about PEDs. PEDs are a little bit more upsetting for me. If you want to do something like that, that's your own stupid fault. I still don't think you should be able to do that, obviously, and go box somebody. But at the same aspect, it's somebody who's intentionally trying to cheat versus somebody who's just trying to get high.
One of the issues is that, they measure these findings are in pico units, which is really, really minimal, but that's after the fact. And, they said, well, it's like, in the case of Ryan Garcia, that the amounts were so low. Of course they were so low. If they were any higher, you wouldn't recognize the kid. It's just that serious. And, I'm looking at some suspensions and fines here. I don't think it's enough. I think the boxing sanctioning bodies really, really need to come down on these guys and try to straighten this out, whether it's clenbuterol or I forget the name of the testosterone that was found with Munguia. Jaime Munguia had I think it's called an exogenous steroid.
Yeah, I was looking it up earlier. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that has got to be introduced, and as far as I heard, it was with the use of a syringe. So, I mean, you don't really have an out here. There's no argument. It's not like tainted meat where, I've been hanging out at the local taco stand and, it's in my system. And I mentioned a boxing pundit, and I won't mention his name, but he said, it's a guy I really respect. You are responsible for everything in your body, like every other fighter. There's no exceptions. There's no gray areas here. It's black and white. And, you just can't trip over that line. And that's what he's done. And, it's just, you look back at his record and all these wins, and it just, in short, I'm really, really disappointed in Jaime Munguia. I really believe in him. He's a good kid. He's well spoken, really respectful of his opponents, answers questions well, fights well, has improved tremendously over the last few years. I remember seeing Jaime Munguia just lunging forward left and right.
Yeah, he's got an exciting style.
He's actually, moving his head and moving his shoulders and, stepping in at the right time. And timing's everything. And it looks like he's got it down. But now this comes up and, that just kind of, he was doing so well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And that throws a black shadow, it casts a bad shadow on it, saying maybe he was doing so well because of the pay.
Well, there's, I mentioned this earlier in the show, with Ryan Garcia and the levels of the PEDs that were found in him. Well, with Munguia, it's kind of the same thing, but, he was improving. He was doing so well. And now we got to see his suspension. And let's see what happens after that. Let's see how he reacts to it. Let's see how he comes back. But is he the same guy? Is he the same, power puncher, balls out fighter? That same attacking style, or does he change? What happens? This is interesting. I really want to keep an eye on him, and I wish nothing but the best for him.
I mean,
under the circumstances, I got to say, I'm really, really disappointed.
Yeah, me too. Not what I would expect coming from Jamie Munguia. And yeah, you're right. What this is called, I just had it. Exogenous testosterone metabolites.
Yep.
I did a lot of research on this myself because I want to know what I'm talking about. I just want to spray shit in the air,
No, I know. You have.
And it's extremely unlikely that it was any kind of accident. It sounds like there's a small possibility that they could have been taking supplements and stuff, but again, that's always a possibility. You're taking supplements, there's always going to be some tainted something, you know what I mean, that you can blame that on. My thing is
no, I got to stop. I guess sorry to stop you there, but I got to say these companies that manufacture supplements, you know what they look like. I mean, they are a science project. I mean, these people are like buttoned down. I highly doubt that there's any possibility that they're tainted at factory level.
Right.
What else is there?
I doubt it too. There's always a minuscule chance that that's what happened. But again, I'm with you. I doubt that happened. And what that says is you blatantly tried to cheat. And the fact that they're still denying it just pisses me off more. It turns me off more as a fan. Like, if you just came out and admitted it and you're like, yeah, look, I lost bad to Saras that first time. I didn't want to lose again. And I'm sorry I did it. Go ahead and take it off my record and I will fight him clean. I'll jump on the 24/7. That's what you should respond with. That's what fans could get behind. But to keep denying it and to be like, no, I won that. No, dude. One, do you think should we strike that? Should we strike the Saras win? I mean, he was positive.
Yeah, no, the sanctioning bodies are pretty quick to react, actually.
So I don't know. I hope it is, but it hasn't been changed as of yet.
Oh, I think it's been called a no contest.
Has it?
After B sample was made public, I think that happened, but I could go back and check that as well.
Yeah,
and it should be, and there should be a fine and suspension. This is not a science project, and we've seen a lot of people get hurt in the ring. Not everyone is caught, and that's my real concern. Not everyone's caught.
Right now, it's still a win, as far as I can tell.
Oh shit!
At least on BoxRec.
Well, hopefully BoxRec is wrong, because that should not be a win. That should be a no contest, suspension, and fine.
I think Jake Paul loses. we're definitely getting to that. But yeah, he's coming up. Honestly, with one of the better opponents he's fought, which is not saying a lot, in Chavez Jr., but we're going to get to that for sure. But this 6 months to a year suspension, I mean, that's a slap on the wrist at best.
Well,
6 months. I mean, that's one fight.
well, Ryan Garcia was out for a year, and I keep mentioning Ryan for this reason, in that it kind of sticks out, I guess, for whatever reason. 6 months is nothing. A year is a slap on the wrist. You're right. I'm thinking, PEDs, both tests come positive. You're gone for 3 years. You're gone for 5 years.
Right.
I keep saying this over and over. It's not a science project. This is a sport, and people have gotten hurt and will continue to get hurt by people who are not playing by the rules.
Doesn't every year seem to pass away from the sport, and to have somebody be cheating in this sport is just so much more. Like baseball, I mean, yeah, you're cheating the record books, you're still doing stuff that you're ruining the game, and you are still cheating, but it is not to the degree that boxing is.
Not unless the bench is clear.
In that case, yeah, you're gonna see one man just mowing everybody down.
Just putting that up there.
Oh man. But yeah, we got some other stuff to talk about. We can move on from that, but the Munguia B sample, and not to mention his Eddie Reynoso, his trainer and coach, he's been linked to so many others that it's like, at what point do we finally do some more investigation? The WBC, the WBA, all these guys are just letting this stuff happen, and when people come up positive, especially the big pay-per-view stars, Canelo Alvarez, it happens that they start allowing more clenbuterol in the damn drug test. No, that is not what we do. That's not how you fix the sport.
No,
it's broken.
Cannot move the fucking goalposts here.
Right. We allow it differently, and unfortunately it's been allowed. But we're gonna we can stay all day on PEDs and everybody not being able to use it. So better move on just a tad here. Now, I'm not going to touch on that. Deontay Wilder returns to the ring this weekend. Said he wants to actually, I thought he was close to done, but now he says one of his goals is actually become a unified heavyweight champion again.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that fight's on Friday. It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Got to make sure that people see that. It's not a Saturday fight or a Saturday card. But you said it right. It's not a comeback. It's a return, which is one of the points that he made on one of the podcasts that he was on. And it looks like he went out and had some therapy with a professional, and helped him put things in perspective, because his life was a little bit topsy-turvy, with different things that come up. I can't go into detail here. I don't know the guy. But it seems like he's gotten it together and he's got a clear mind. And, the one promise is that, from what I gather from this podcast that I was listening to, I listened to every podcast out there, that he's actually working on his jab. Can you believe it? He's working on his jab.
I can't, to a certain degree. And part of me still doesn't think that's a good idea.
Look, as I was driving down the road, listening to this podcast, and they were talking about his jab, and I almost wrecked.
Yeah, no.
He's working on his jab, and it's like 20 years later or whatever. But I mean, that was step one, and he had a decent little poker of a jab, but never really threw it. I think that guy could have done well going to the Larry Holmes School of Jabbing and learned to move his feet, and learned a lot of other things about the fundamentals of boxing. He was like 30-0 with like 30 KOs or whatever it was, just something crazy, and kept knocking him out. He kept knocking out everyone. Stavern and Washington, and I mean, just knocked out everyone. But things changed, particularly after he fought Tyson Fury, and his career took a real change there, a real turn. He's bouncing back, and if he's looking to go for a belt, let's see what you got. Let's see what you learned. Let's see what this new coach, oh, he's not so new, has done for you. Let's see. Show us.
So
Show us the better side of Deontay Wilder. Because you're either bomb squad or you're not.
that's true.
I've seen bomb squad, and it looks more like Bambi squad. So
yeah, bomb squad looks like it's been put to rest. I really hope he returns to form. Of course, we're gonna have our doubts now. This one, I understand that he left Malik Scott.
Okay, I didn't know.
I don't know who he has now, though. That's the problem. I'm not entirely sure. I know, and I've seen posts of him saying, there's no hard feelings there. Sometimes in life, you just got to go in a different direction, and this is one of those times. He never really said anything of where he's going now. I'm not sure of who he's with. So, but is it too little, too late now? I mean, are you really going to be able to teach this old dog a new trick?
I do old dogs learn new tricks? I suppose they can. I'm not against it, but you can look at his footwork and look at his jab in his last fight, and what did you see different? Probably not much, because I certainly didn't. He was standing right in front of Zhilei Zhang and failed to move laterally, and that was his saving grace, and he just failed at it. What's a guy to do when he doesn't display those skills? You're coaching him. He's not jabbing. He's not showing any footwork. He's not throwing 1, 2, 3. He's not throwing in combos. It's a simple 1-2. It's the Deontay Wilder 1-2, and it's a half-ass 1-2 because that jab does not stick generally. What do you do? What do you do with a guy like that? Who's going to coach him?
Yeah, who wants that task? And I honestly think it seems to be the more he learns, the worse he gets. Back when he didn't really know, he was standing wrong, he was throwing from the wrong positions, he was better. It was the unpredictability, the unorthodoxness helped him so much.
Which kind of brings me back to Jaime Munguia. It's like, I always mention the fact that he lunged. That's, I think, the kiss of death in boxing. Especially if you're fighting someone who's got really quick hands and good eyes. You just don't lunge. Deontay had his flaws, and he won. And Munguia had his flaws, and he won. And I think that's kind of the beauty in boxing, is that the strength and the perseverance and the ability to take whatever's coming at you and continue delivering is what makes this a beautiful sport. There's other boxers that are well educated. Look at Miguel Cotto. Look at on a modern side, Naoya. He's taken his lumps. He's gone down. We know that. But there's some poetry in motion there. With Deontay, it's just not like that. And I you know what? At the same time, there's something to be appreciated there. He shows up, he makes weight, puts up a damn good fight, and he makes it happen. But his record was impeccable at one point.
It really was, and everybody was afraid to fight him. And you can't blame him. He was knocking people out. He's making people look ridiculous, and he was a monster. Everybody was afraid of him. Now they're saying Usyk ducked him. I don't know how much that was true. Because that fight really didn't come to fruition after the Fury trilogy anyway. And at that point, Usyk's looking at other fights.
Well, it kind of raises the question a little bit about who's next after Herndon. And I don't know too much about Herndon, but that's tomorrow's opponent. But let's say he walks out with a clean knockout, third round KO, whatever it is. What's next for Wilder? Does he step up big league? Or does he fill it out a little bit more?
Yeah, you gotta a guy in Wilder who's really, this is a layup. I mean, you have to knock this guy out. There's not a go into decision here. You got to knock this guy out. And I mean, even with his lately in his non KOs that he's been having, he still has a KO ratio of 97.67%. He's a big guy. He should be able to just lay on these guys and be able to knock them out. But I'm still worried. Look at the odds on this fight. I posted them here. We got Wilder at -2,500, Herndon at plus 1,100. Even that kind of it scares me still. I'm really thinking about putting money on Herndon. You never know. I mean, when fighters go, they just go. And I really hope he's not, because he's so enigmatic. He's so such a big draw that I want Wilder to return to form. But there's just something inside me that says whatever it was, whatever he had, I think it's just gone.
Well, you end up looking at some of these fighters who are a little bit smarter and quicker and know to keep that left out there, because you know that overhand right's coming. And when you can negate that the one punch wonder, you go a long way. And Zhilei Zhang, he's not the quickest hands in the business, but he took care of it. And Tyson Fury was able to negotiate it, although Tyson Fury was on the canvas a few times, not just once, but he was almost counted out. And if I was the ref in one of those bouts, I would have waved it off. Fury was flat on his back.
Yeah, that first one, that first fight was, it could have easily been a win for Wilder, but it wasn't.
Well, we'll see how that goes, but I don't know. I really want to see it. I really want to see Deontay redeem himself, come back and win, and walk that walk and represent the U.S. against all the European fighters.
Yep, that would be nice to see again. How old is Wilder now? He's got to be getting up there in age as well. Have that.
He's up there. He's getting up there.
I thought so. I wanted to say about 38, but I can't seem to find that. Well, anyway, like you said, I mean, after Herndon, what then? Because this is still not up to a level where, you're just going to jump back into a championship fight. You need at least like another step after this before a championship type fight.
Well, the first name that comes up is Anthony Joshua. Why? Because that was a fight that should have been made years ago, and for whatever reason, it never got made. But those two guys were, like A and B side. Either one could be A side in that regard. That's all fine. But that's the one fight that we were all expecting and never saw.
Yeah. And if he knocks somebody out good enough, I mean, you definitely could make that fight. I think especially if you're Joshua right now, you make that fight, you get a name under your belt. That's a lot easier nowadays than what he was in his prime. And I would jump on that if I was AJ's corner there. See, I'm mad we don't have Rob to be calling him his nickname.
I'm not going to say it.
Me either. I'm not going to. Only he can use that.
I won't. I'm afraid. But, that's the fight that needs to be made. I mean, they're two big guys, big, muscular, power punchers. And, well, I shouldn't call AJ a power puncher. He's a puncher. But, yeah, that one needs to be made. It's one of those fights that just for whatever the heck needs to be made. And I'd love to see that. That fight sells out. I don't care where you put it.
That's true. I'm sure it will. And their careers followed a similar trajectory. Hot off the bat, and then they fizzled out rather quickly in just a matter of a few fights. I think the Usyk thing seemed to seemed to really just destroy AJ. I mean, not being able to beat him, he was so mentally frustrated with that fight, and then of course the knockouts as well. I mean,
I remember the meltdown of the year.
yeah, he like threw his belt out the ring. Like he was visibly mad. So this will be an amazing shit show of a fight to watch. I mean, I don't know how good it would be, but I gotta see it. You know what I mean? It's a car accident. It's one of those things I just gotta see.
Train wreck, you mean?
Yeah, one of them horrible things you just can't turn away from.
Well, I just hope to see Deontay Wilder make a comeback and maybe take another fight and show us what he's got, coming back, and then prove himself to us that he's worthy of that knockout ratio that he had. Let's see him take out some big guys. If he takes out eventually, if he works his way back up to Joshua or anything like that. I don't know much about the fighter that he's facing this weekend. I really don't. I know his last name is Herndon. I believe he's American. He may be British. But whoever he is, man, let's hope that things go well for him and he's on that comeback trail.
Yeah, Herndon. I just took a quick glance at him earlier before the show because obviously, not a lot there. He is American.
He's Kansas.
24-5, with 4 of those losses being by knockout. So better chances for Wilder to get him out of there. But his last couple of fights ended in split decision, and they weren't even really against tough competition. So this really is a must win. I mean, if you don't beat this guy, it's retirement for sure. You can forget about the unified again. Like you said, he really needs to make a statement. He needs to come out and knock this guy out 1 or 2. I'll give him 3, just because he's come back, he's returning. So 3 rounds. If he can't do it in 3, there's probably some other issues going on.
No, I agree with you. This is where the rubber meets the road. If this doesn't quite pan out for Wilder, then yeah, I could see that maybe some of his reflections or sorry, I said that wrong. Reflexes are slowing down. He just doesn't have that trigger. It could be a variety of things, but yeah, if this doesn't work out for him, it's definitely cards on the table time for him. Hopefully he does well and we see a bounce back. I'd love to see that from Deontay Wilder.
Boxing needs it, I think.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, and we don't have a lot of champs in the U.S. I mean, I think at the top of the heap is Usyk. He's not got a long way to go. He's got maybe a couple of fights, and I guess he's scheduled with Dubois, which is fantastic. I think there's something that needs to be settled there, simply because there was some controversy in their fight, with the low blow. And I've watched that over and over and over. And sometimes I'm like, low blow, not low blow, low blow, not low blow. Yeah. And I would hate to be in Luis Pabon, the referee. I would hate to be in his shoes because that was a rough one.
Yeah, I mean, that's fight determining call that he has to make. So
I know that we discussed that at length here on the show, months ago.
Yeah.
Even to the day, it's not an easy call to make.
No, yeah, and it's still something that comes up in all boxing circles online and everywhere. Something that you constantly see, and I think it'll constantly also be a question mark in everybody's mind. They say that's the one place you can really hurt Usyk is to the body. So I'm somewhere in between, right? There's other people. I think Sakura always says that it was not low. I got other people saying it was low, and I'm saying kind of both. It's low. I don't think it was a nut shot, though, but I do think it was low.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't towards the midsection. I think it was to the side, to his left side, as the impact comes. But the one thing I do consider there is kind of oddball is that the glove struck the the belt and pulled up on his junk, if you will, and that's where all the pain comes in.
Definitely could be the factor. I mean, that radiating factor of moving everything so quick. Yeah.
You must be an engineer.
Uh,
I think that's the way exactly how it works, and it's just a really weird situation. I've never really seen that happen. It's always been like a clean blow to the midsection, and or just a little bit low, maybe sometimes to the hip or whatever, which is very painful as well. This wasn't like that.
No.
So
hopefully,
hopefully we see a comebacker there too. I think that's booked, right?
I believe so. I think that's a done deal.
I hope so.
Before we get on to the Jake Paul Chavez Jr., I think that's going to be pretty simple to talk about anyway. But I do want to touch on, of course, one of the biggest fights that's going to be this year. We're talking Canelo Crawford. What would it be if we're not talking about the two faces of possible boxing here? What I want to come up with is why, for some reason, I'm getting a lot of Crawford fans thinking that not only is Crawford going to win, but he's going to knock out Canelo. But what is your take on that, James? Why do you think that is?
It's wishful thinking. I don't think you're going to knock out Canelo. Has he ever been knocked out? Has he ever been knocked down?
No.
It's just one of those things. He's just a smart fighter. Canelo is a really, really intelligent, natural fighter. He's got a lot of years experience. He's got more rounds in than most people. It's probably at the top of the heap in terms of rounds fought. To think that Terence Crawford could knock him down, it's realistic. Could he knock him out? Probably not. But the real thing that sticks out to me is that Terence Crawford is moving up. He's jumping from 54.
A lot. Yeah.
That's kind of uncharted territory. Not a lot of people can do that. I think in his own defense, if anyone can do it, it's Terence Crawford. He's the one that can. But he's coming up from 140, I believe.
140 is where he started, right?
Oh, right. Exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's a tough call to go up to 168 now. Can he make that weight comfortably? I don't mean make the weight in terms of being under, but that he's got all his strength and speed.
Right, not just a bunch of water weight.
Yeah. He looks like he's building up a lot of muscle, and pound for pound, he looks like he's right up there with Canelo. It looks like, from a physique standpoint, he's there. Can he take those punches from Canelo? If he encounters a hard blow from Canelo, the Canelo, the uppercut that he does so well, or the feint with overhand, some of the Canelo toolbox items, how is he going to react? Because he's not been hit by a 68er in the past. Maybe in training, who knows? And that's another thing, is that, who's he sparring with? Is he sparring with these bigger guys? I would imagine he is. That's key. But
yeah.
I honestly want to say that I'd love to see. Well, it's a little bit late now in the game, but for Terence to go up to 54 and fight a few times, which he has, and that's all fine. 60, right there a few times. 68, maybe once or maybe twice before he faces Canelo. But there's not that much time left in his career.
No.
He's got children. He wants to enjoy, life with his children, and ready to dismount from this sport that asks so much of you. Hats off to Terence Crawford. Let me put it that way. Hats off to him for facing this challenge and not backing down and not asking for, all these in-between fights, not asking for tune-ups, not asking for, whatever it was before he got ready for this fight. He's walking right into the fire. As Ted Atlas would say, we're walking into the fire. We're, we're firemen. You know, I forgot who he was saying that to, but
Bradley.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a combination, wasn't it?
I did like it.
That was a lot of yin and yang there.
Yeah, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think Crawford. I don't think he avoided a lot of big names, but I do think it was avoided. Either them avoiding him, whatever you call it, whether it be the Cold War amongst promoters. I think that's definitely hurt his career, at least in my eyes. There's a lot still to be remaining in his resume. So, yeah, I mean, I do give him credit for taking on a challenge, but who doesn't want to fight with Canelo Alvarez right now? I mean, there's probably a bantamweight out there saying he'll fight him tomorrow.
Right.
So everybody wants that fight. But at the same point, we've seen this before, right? I mean, everybody tries to come up in weight and fight Canelo. We've seen it multiple times. It never works out in their favor. What would make Crawford different? Because I honestly don't see it any different. As Canelo has said, I don't see this as a different fight. Crawford still has problems with Madrimov. That was an extremely close fight, and I wouldn't be mad if somebody had that fight a draw or leaning towards Madrimov or leaning towards Crawford. And, not to diss Madrimov. He's an amazing fighter, but that's an amazing fighter at 154. Now you're fighting one of the pound-per-pound fighters at a weight 2 classes above you have ever fought before.
It's a big ask.
And, yeah, you've been rocked. You've been dropped. It's happened before for Crawford at worst competition. And now we're expected to see you fight one of the best that boxing has to offer at 2 weight classes above where you're currently at. And even then, you only got 1 fight in your current division of what you just had. So really, you might as well say skip 2 weight divisions and then fight a guy that's at the top of that weight division. That is not a big ask. I'm sorry. That's an astronomically big ask. That's a skyscraper type jump. And I'm sorry. I don't think anyone can do it. I don't think Floyd Mayweather Jr. could do it. And I definitely don't think Terence Crawford's going to be able to do it.
Well, they're certainly hyping the fight up. I mean, you saw the press conference, all the pushing and shoving. I'm really sold on this shit. I got to say, in Terence Crawford's defense, he switches well. He switches probably better than anyone I've seen. He knows when to do it. He knows how to do it. He switches left foot forward, right foot forward. But he doesn't do it a lot. He does it when it's necessary. And I really, really admire him for doing what he does in the ring. He, I think if anyone can pull this off, I think he'd give a better fight than, let's say, Jermell Charlo did, or his previous opponent. I forget, Plant. I think Terence Crawford gives us a better fight than Plant did.
Really? I mean, that's saying a lot, because I think Plant did rather well against him.
I think that Terence Crawford gives him a better fight, a little bit more trouble in center ring. This is a tough one. I think that this is by far the best opposition that Canelo has seen. Far better than Munguia, far better than Plant, far better than Charlo, and those are the more recent, opponents. This is a big test for Canelo as well. The question is the weight and the power and the transfer. And I think the real question is the transfer.
Yeah.
Does the transfer show up, and do we see a powerful Terence Crawford? I think we do. And we see a smart Terence Crawford. He's going to fight him in the middle of the ring. He's not going to be a guy on the ropes, like Charlo was, let's say. He's not going to be hyper defensive like Calais Plant was. Although Caleb Plant was throwing. Credit to Caleb Plant. Munguia, was out there doing his thing.
Got caught.
Well, he got caught. It's going to happen if you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
That's all fine. I got no problem with that. With Crawford, I think he's just a lot smarter and a lot more powerful, quicker, better footwork. I think the real question is the transfer of power. Does he have that same striking power at 68? Honestly, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that's the question, and I hate to say it, but I don't think that he does.
No, I agree with you there.
And hand speed. I got to throw that in.
I got to agree with you on both those then. But my
defensively, I think he's got the hand speed. But whether he can turn over a combination as fast as he needs to, because Canelo's defense it's second to none.
Not only that, I think Canelo will be able to punch through a lot of Terrence Crawford's defense. I mean, I think the size difference is going to be that much more evident. The most Crawford could do is put on water weight at this point. He's not going to be able to really come up that weight naturally and be able to do it like he should. Like we talked about, he just doesn't have that kind of time to get a few fights underneath him before that fight happens. But more than anything, I think the most telling part and what really is going to make a difference on whether Crawford can win it all is what kind of a style he's going to bring to it. I mean, there's a couple of blueprints to beat Canelo, right? I mean, he's been beaten. Mm-hmm. There's the Floyd Mayweather blueprint. There's the Bivol blueprint. And then there's a Golovkin where there's somewhere in between, right? Bivol dog walked him. Mayweather dog walked him. Made it somewhat pretty easy on both of those accounts. But Golovkin, I still feel kind of edged it out, but kind of took a beating also himself. So that's a little bit of a gamble there. But I obviously he's not going to be Bivol. He's not going to be that kind of letting him come forward, let him get his shots off, and then counter him. I can't see Crawford doing that. That's a losing strategy for him. So he has to play the Floyd Mayweather game, and I don't know if he can do that. Is he going to be able to pop shot, move, and stay away from Canelo that entire time? One, that's not really Crawford's style to begin with. So unless he can adapt to that and try to be a Floyd Mayweather style, those styles make fights. We say that a lot in boxing. Yeah. And Crawford's style it's usually somewhat aggressive. And if you're coming an aggressive guy, especially you're being aggressive towards a larger opponent, I don't see that working out for you. I really don't.
Well, I see it as a matter of sticking and moving. because I don't think he wants to stay on the inside with Canelo. I see him coming in, landing some shots, starting and finishing with the jab. I think that's key because, you know, you're fighting for the judges. And the question that comes to mind is, you know, where's Canelo at this point in his career? Obviously, he's not that old. He's on the younger side, late 30s, I guess. But he's left a lot in the ring. Does he have that resilience to counterpunch, or is he still? Canelo is in his last few fights is one punching a lot more, and that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. And I think that's something that Terrence Crawford can really take advantage of. He's also on his back foot a lot. He tends to pull, as punches are coming, pull counter. Mm-hmm. That's all fine. But if your opponent is still coming forward, you're on your back foot. Not the greatest place to be. So we'll see how that plays out. But I'm sure that Terrence Crawford will be able to, or his team will be able to put that together. And that's another thing. I mean, the corner really comes into play here. And I think that Terrence Crawford as a team is the ultimate chess player there. I mean, they negotiated through Kavaliauskas and did a pretty good job, I think. This is a tough one. I'm glad that Turkey's made this matchup. I'm really glad that they're actually doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Turkey fan, you know that. But it's a damn good thing that they're really putting this together. And then the good thing is it's not in Riyadh, so we don't have to watch this at.
It's not pay-per-view. It's Netflix.
Yeah, it's I guess it's Las Vegas.
I believe so. Yeah.
So we're looking at like a 6 or 7 p.m. fight or 8 p.m. fight or whatever it is. We're gonna have to watch boxing at 9 in the morning.
That's always good.
This is all panning out. It's looking good so far, with a pretty nice undercard. So I think we're in for a treat. In the end, I'll go out on a limb and say that Terrence Crawford by decision.
Wow. Okay.
A split.
Split. Okay. Now you did say something. Canelo is going to be fighting off his feet. He's definitely more playing it a lot lately, and I think that definitely does lead into Crawford's hands more, especially if he can just keep turning him. I think that's going to cause Canelo a lot of problems. Sorry, I forgot to also mention Lara's fight against Canelo was also very effective. So there's a few blueprints and a lot for Crawford to study, and would be able to pull this off if he does it right. But it's all about the style that you bring, and especially with this older Canelo, he's sitting down on his punches more. He's actually started to build. At first, he was faking it. He faked it until he made it with this power punching thing. Canelo was not a power puncher. He was more of a boxer at first. But as his career has got on, he's slowed down with his movement, and he's actually sat on those punches a lot harder and was able to get a lot more leverage than what he used to. And with that, though, came a lot of slowing down and his not countering as effective as he used to. The head movement, like we saw against Trout, is practically non-existent anymore. These are two very different fighters than when they started. Both very, very different. Canelo may also have problems, like you said, with the switch into southpaw. These are questions that we don't know.
Well, that's kind of the question that came up in a conversation I was having recently with a boxing pundit who really knows the game. And his question was, is Canelo slowing down, or is he just a lot smarter and more efficient? And, honestly, the honest answer to that question is both. He is using better head movement than he's ever used. His feet are always in the right spot. He doesn't move them a lot, but he moves them. He's always in front of his opponent. If his opponent is, moving laterally and now stepping out and quote unquote running, there's not a lot he can do. And there's not a lot you can do to cut the ring off when a person is that nimble. You just got to present yourself and get ready to exchange blows. If Terrence Crawford decides to exchange blows with Canelo, I hope it's the late rounds where it's worth it.
Tired out a little bit and
yeah,
won't have as much zing on his punches.
Well, we hope. Canelo supremely conditioned. I think he's one of the best conditioned fighters out there. So this is a tough one to call, but again,
leading towards Crawford.
Maybe Terrence Crawford by decision and probably a split.
I heard Bradley also say that he knows something. He knows a secret, but he's not going to tell anybody, and he's picking Crawford to win too, which surprises me, knowing Tim Bradley. But I'm kind of eager to see. I'm just eager to see where that's coming from and what the secret was. Maybe we'll find out after fight night. But before we move on, I got one more question about this for you, James. Now, barring a rematch between Canelo and Crawford, after this fight, do you believe Crawford is done? He is 38 years old. This is kind of the pinnacle. Anything else would feel like a back step for him anyway.
Well, that's a hard call. I don't know that much about Terrence Crawford in his personal life. That has a lot to do with things. I would hope that he is. He's done well, undisputed twice, or I think this could be his third, possibly. That's the way it adds up on fight night. Yeah, probably. I was hoping to see him fight Virgil. I thought that would have been a sensational fight. And there's a couple of other guys in there I was hoping to see him fight. If this is his last, well, then, thanks for all those great rounds. If Canelo's last, well, by the same token, I don't think it will, because I think he's got kind of like a 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so this is 1 of 3, or 1 of 4, I should say. So he's probably going to continue on. Terrence Crawford has shown us a lot, and he's up there, and it's probably, he's done well. He's done well for himself. So, it's just that one sticking point is Virgil.
That's true.
Virgil.
And Boots. I'd like to see Boots.
What about Murtazaliev, the guy who beat Tim Tszyu?
Ooh, yeah, I would like to see that too. As a good. I mean, I think there's quite a few fights still for Crawford. I think
there's a lot of really grippy fights out there for Terrence Crawford. And if he beats Canelo, and if he decides to come down a little bit, 60, there is a parade of fighters.
That is true. Not the same could be said about Canelo. I mean, he's kind of beat the guys that were up there, unless he goes up more or somebody else comes up again.
There's only one guy that I want to see Canelo fight other than Crawford.
The monster?
And his name is Benavidez.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you got to do. Win or lose, just fight Benavidez. And we'll all be happy, and no one will talk down on you if you get knocked out, beat by decision, unanimous decision, whatever it is. People will respect you more than if you had not, or walked away from the sport, had not fought Benavidez. I think it's a win-win for him.
I wholeheartedly agree there. Definitely agree.
You just can't lose. I mean, that's mega.
You really can't. I mean, he's going to just like when he went up and fought Bivol, nobody really gave him too much grief. I was surprised he fought him. And, from the jump, I said Bivol was going to win. I was happy to be right on that one. But a jump up like Benavidez, I think the size is so different, just like more so even than what it is for Crawford to come up and fight Canelo. Just David Benavidez is just that big of a guy. I want to see that fight probably more than Alvarez Crawford, but I'll take this fight too.
Well, you know what? If they're matched up equally at 68, and they should have been, the WBC did not do their job, because we all know that Benavidez sat there with an interim belt for 2 years or so. That fight should have been made, and we all got robbed of it. And I've said that before here. It's not too late. If they meet at 68 or 75, Canelo's fought at 75. We all know that. Didn't do well. Things didn't go well. Well, actually, he beat Kovalev. Was that 175? I believe it was.
It was, yeah.
Okay, so we know that he can fight at 75. Meet Benavidez at 75. Meet him at 75.
I don't know if he will. I would like to see him fight Bivol again too. And he says that's something he wants to do, but I don't know. Part of me just thinks that's what he's saying. I don't care if it's at 168. Bivol has offered to come down to 168.
Exactly.
I'm good with that.
Exactly. For all the marbles.
Yeah. Keep it for the belts.
And what happened? They didn't welcome him into 68 and say, yeah, let's do this.
No, they don't want that. Try to hold on to his belt.
No, it just didn't work out. So to me,
that's not a matchup.
That was the ultimate challenge, and it was overlooked or ignored.
Yeah, I give Canelo a ton of credit for that fight, and if he fights Benavidez, I mean, win or lose, you get a lot of credit from me from taking a fight like that. But we go from that, the dream fight that we're getting of Canelo Crawford, and another talk of a dream fight from Canelo Benavidez, and we're turning it the complete opposite into the nightmare fight, which is Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Jake Paul has said, I don't know if this is true, okay? I don't know if this is just Jake Paul talking shit or what, but he says if he wins this fight, he's going to be able to get a title match. I don't know if that's true. Maybe he's just blowing smoke up everybody's ass, but I really hope it's not, because in no way, shape, or form should beating Chavez Jr. should earn you a shot at a title. In no way. And he's saying that this is going to be a breakout performance for him, and people are going to be surprised. Meanwhile, Chavez has stated openly in more than one avenue that if he loses this, it's immediate retirement. Like it would be embarrassing for him and his family should he lose this fight.
Well, I agree with you. It is. But going back to something you said earlier, I think Jake Paul is a professional blow smoke up people's ass kind of guy. But he's an entertainer, and I'm not taking anything away from Jake Paul. I always have, and I got to stop doing that. The guy is working his ass off, promoting fights for women, promoting fights, getting some big paydays for some of these fighters like Tyson. And I'm really, really happy that Tyson walked away with some coins. I don't know what financial condition Tyson is in, but if he made a good, few $1,000,000, and it looks like it was really, really big, good for them. As a fan, aficionado of the sport for many years, I think I've crossed that line where I'm okay with it now. At first, I was like, "Oh, F this and F that."
It's kind of wore you down, right?
Yeah, it's
just a little bit.
It's all good. They're making money. I don't consider it professional fighting. I don't consider it fighting. I think some of these things are predetermined and rehearsed, and that's all fine. If that's what they're doing. I don't call it boxing. I don't call it fighting. It's just entertainment. And if that's what they're doing, well, then so be it. I can't stop it. And I'm not really jumping on the bandwagon. I don't want to make it sound like I am. But, with Chavez, his career ended years ago when he was fighting a guy in Chicago named Andres Fonfara. And he had Goossen in his corner. And this was a telling moment for me. He sat on his stool, and Goossen looked him in the eye and didn't say a word. And he was getting whooped. He was getting whooped, and there was not one word from Goossen. And that told me a lot. That told me this is the beginning of the end, if not the end. And obviously, Fonfara went on to win that fight, and ever since then, it's been kind of a downhill thing for Chavez. I would hate to be in his shoes simply because he's always fought in his dad's shadow, and I've always seen him bending forward. And I think that he had a great career. He had a good career early on. Chavez Jr. was a killer. Look at his record; he is an absolute killer early on. But he grew in size and height and continued to fight, bent over, stooping forward. And the one thing I think of is Julian Jackson a lot, where he was upright. I just love his fighting style. Upright, fighting lengthy. And that's something that Chavez never did. And I think that's where they missed the bus with Chavez. That's really all I got to say about his style. He's going to make some coins against Jake Paul. Good for him. He goes off into the sunset. He's got his Lamborghini. He's got his baubles. Good for him. He did well in taking this fight and training for it. And it's a moneymaker, no matter how you look at it. And the Jake Paul train continues to move forward. He'll find another opponent. It'll be controversial. It'll be what it is. It'll be a show. It'll sell tickets. It'll make money. It'll generate income for the fighters and for the teams. And that's part of the sport now. That's part of our sport.
Unfortunately.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that. But, it's one of those things. They've sold out the arena. Press conferences were,
shows.
They weren't shills of a show like Crawford, Canelo. It's like, you know, one night you're having dinner together, the next night you're pushing and shoving. Show me something, man.
Right. Like we're supposed to believe this is real. Like, yeah, a lot of that came off as hokey to me. Like
That is not pushing Terrence Crawford. That's, you know, playing for the camera.
Yeah. And I got a lot of that. Not that we're not going to see a lot of that against with Jake Paul, too. I think some of that's wearing off on the sport itself, with even the people that are taking the sport serious. They see some of that as working, you know, and they run with it. Some WWE style type of press conferences never hurt anybody. As long as you're taking it serious in the ring, that's really all I care about for the most part. Now, this is surprising to me. Is not Chavez Jr. actually showed up. You know, from what I can tell, he's been training. He looked good, and all the things I've seen so far. But the score, the odds are really what came as surprises to me, because I thought this would be like close on the odds. Jake Paul is actually somewhat of a heavy favorite, negative 575 favorite, whereas Chavez is plus 400. So 4-1 odds, basically, if you're betting on Chavez. That's
right.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, does that surprise you too, there, James, or is it just me? No, is they just that downtrodden on Chavez now?
You know, I'm surprised that there's odds involved in this game at this level, because I don't think that that's what this fight is about. I think it's more entertainment than an actual fight. Now, if they're actually going to get it on, great.
So you don't think this is a all the way on the up and up fight?
I do not. I think that a lot of this is predetermined and rehearsed. And I'm not saying that they get in the ring and rehearse the knockout blow. That's not. But you know, I think they're here. You know, and I've told you, this is not a fight; it's entertainment. And they're taking their coins at the end of the fight, and that's all good. People are willing to shell out money. It's just the way it is. It's one of those things where I see Chavez's hand speed really, really diminished. He's fought a lot. In fact, he's got a lot of rounds in himself. And Jake Paul is young. He's got some hand speed. He's training. He's working his ass off. He's learning the ropes. And you got to respect the guy who's working it like that. I don't disagree with those odds at all. So this is kind of a hard call. I can't tell you that I'm going to pay to watch this shit.
Me, I would not pay to watch that fight at all. I don't know who is. I actually don't even know if is that pay-per-view. I don't even know where this is on.
You know, on that card is Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. Oh. And that's the guy I want to see fight. I'm a big fan of Gilberto, and I like him. He's a really, really nice, humble person, bouncing back from a little dip that he took in his career after the Bivol fight. But you know, he's back, and he's got 2 belts up that he's defending, and so that should be pretty good. In Dorticos, he's got a great opponent. That could be the fight of the night. And don't be surprised if Zurdo Ramirez is in a firefight and comes out on top. I've seen him handle himself extremely well in a firefight against I believe, I'm going to guess at his name here. I could look it up easily. It's I think his last name is Gonzalez, Uniel Gonzalez. Fight that Zurdo really, really had to dig deep, especially in the early rounds, and came out on top, stopped his opponent. And, I'm really impressed with Zurdo. He's a fighter from Sinaloa. I love those guys. He trains up here, and he's working his ass off, and he's gotten himself back in line. And I wish nothing but the best for Zurdo. So that's one of the fights that's on that card. Holly Holm is on that card. It's kind of a loaded card.
It's a
And
return fight for her too. Like it's been a long time since she's been in the boxing ring anyway.
yeah, she doesn't have a ranking, but that's all right. It could be an exciting fight. Her opponent is 10-0, so it looks pretty good. So it's a pretty good card. Overall, it looks good. And
Yeah.
main event with Jake Paul versus anybody. It's going to be kind of electrifying. So this could be a really nice card if you're into that sort of stuff.
DAZN pay-per-view. Okay. I didn't know if that one was on pay-per-view or how they were doing this one, but I mean, I really want to support the real boxing on there, like we talked about Ramirez. But it's hard to get behind that main event. It really is. But I hopefully it's a good fight. Hopefully it still entertains and everything. And props to Gilberto Ramirez. I think he really did revitalize career after a whooping like he did take against Bivol. You're right. I really thought it could be, kind of it for him. A lot of fighters take losses like that and they just kind of never bounce back. So props to him. He really did bounce back. He beat Joe Smith Jr. Hopefully he wins this fight too. Really game opponent, but maybe not a big name for everybody to remember, but still somebody in front of him that is going to put up a hell of a fight.
Yeah, the one name that I didn't fail to bring up earlier was Yunieski Gonzalez. He had a rough going in the first few rounds. Yunieski really brought it, but he was able to mitigate that attack and turn the tables, and ended up winning that fight with a TKO. So it was good. It was good. It was a fantastic fight, and that really told me a lot about who Gilberto Ramirez is. And he's been on the comeback trail. After, he's obviously had that fight with Bivol that didn't work out. But that's all right. That's all right. Bivol is the new Mexicutioner.
That's right. He is. He is fully taking on that role.
Well, the original Mexicutioner is Manny Pacquiao, and his name is in the news mix now.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with Manny as well. He worries me. I love the guy. He's a living legend. I just want to make sure he stays living. He's not looking like the Manny that I would feel comfortable with going back into the ring.
I've seen on the pads, and it makes me wonder why he's doing this. But it's the way it is. Personally, I like to go back in the gym. Why? It's just, challenge my conditioning, challenge my, just just being there. I think the challenge that I was looking for is whether I can show myself that I still have some decent hand speed and a kick. I can kick like a mule because it's more kickboxing for me than anything. Mm-hmm. And so you just want to go back and do it. And I can see Manny Pacquiao, he's lived that life forever. And he started very, very young, mm-hmm. and did extremely well. So, yeah, I get it. He's got a tough opponent. And I, didn't mean to draw this into Manny Pacquiao because I know we got to.
That's okay.
Here, but he's looking like he's in pretty good shape. He's jogging well, and he's back to that same routine where he's jogging up in the hills in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And he's got his team, and he's got his flow, and everything's rolling in the right direction. My only concern is that he shows us a good version of Manny Pacquiao come fight night.
Yeah, and I hope if he's not all the way there, they either pull out of the fight or something. I mean, that card's already stacked. You know what I mean? If you happen to just back out, I would not feel bad upon him for doing that. But you already have such a stacked card that honestly, if that one goes off, either they can replace Manny or they can even just drop that fight. But at this point, he is there. I would love to see him come out and win again, or at least even just show up a good showing. I'm worried for his health. I understand, like, it's hard to let the game go. And like you said, you start to wonder why he's doing it. The all of the Philippines, it looks to him for help. So I imagine he's wanting the money for a bunch of different reasons. Not all of it selfish, but I mean, I'm sure there's some of it in there too that he just wants to see if he can do this still. My thing is why not take a warm up? Why not take an easy layup first? Like we talked about with Wilder, he's doing that, right? Why not do that real quick and then take on a Barrios?
Well, one of the reasons for that is because the sanctioning bodies are willing to make the exception. They're saying, this guy earned it, and that's why he's getting the shot at the champ. Hector Barrios is WBC welterweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's walking in to a WBC fight. That's supposed to be the most prestigious belt out there. And this walks in out of retirement after, I believe, it was
5 years, I think, close to it, right?
I believe he was recently welcomed into the HOF.
Yeah. So
Minnesota.
This is like a Rocky movie type of situation. I mean, it really is. You're just coming back in, going right after the title. I mean, it's something you hear about in a movie, not something you usually see in the sport every day. I mean, it's a little crazy, especially at his old age. This is something like out of the fifth movie, I think, the Rocky Balboa movie. Yeah. I don't know. I really hope everything falls back into place. I don't care if he wins or loses, as long as he's able to perform and at least defend himself. That's all I'm looking for in this fight.
So you ask yourself why, and I think the only answer is, hey, it's boxing.
Okay.
It's the way this shit works. It's like my dad used to say, everyone does whatever the fuck they want.
And I always come back to that Miguel Cotto quote, like, why you keep doing this? He's like, that's all I know. That's all I know. I'm not a carpenter. I beat people fucking up for a living. That's what I do, So I can't blame him. He wants to go back to his trade. He wants to unretire. And if anybody has earned the right to do that, it's Manny Pacquiao. I don't know if it's true or not, but I've been hearing Mayweather's coming back too, and also going to go for a title. Who knows? I've also heard Klitschko a lot lately. Weirdly enough, Klitschko wants to come out of retirement. All those things sound like bad ideas to me. Every single one of them. Manny, Mayweather, Klitschko. It's done.
Well,
it's gone.
If you look at the arrangement that comes of that, let's say Klitschko comes back and he's fighting, ex-fighter who's not, one of the premier fighters of today and so forth, or it's an exhibition, more power to you. But, when they come back because there's a financial need, I don't think in the case of Klitschko, that's the reason for it. It's surprising that you would mention Klitschko because this country's at war. And I think Klitschko is a mayor of Kiev, and his younger brother is probably involved in the military as well. So, but yeah, no, it just kind of worries me a little bit too. I mean, you don't want to get hit in the head late in life. It's just not a good.
Yeah. Father Time is undefeated. But I want to know what you fans think. We're wrapping up for tonight, so please let us know. Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez. Do you think Crawford can knock out Canelo? Should Manny, Mayweather, Klitschko, should they all come back? And Munguia too. Is a 6 month to a year suspension enough? Please comment below. Check us out on all of our social media at Heavy Bag Boxing, and we'll see you again next time on Tough Talk Tonight. Have a good night.